the number one question I get asked is, should I attend X, Y, or Z showcase? Before we get into all those problems, I want to talk to you a little bit about how the showcase funnel works. Okay, so first of all, showcases are neither good or bad, they're just neutral. But you can get taken advantage of by the system if you don't know what you're looking for. So I'm going to draw this out here on this lovely whiteboard and help you understand this. All right, so very first thing is, we all know we love our kids. They have an opportunity to do something we think at the next level. They're 13, 14, 15 years old, and they are a baseball player, okay? And they love the game, and we love watching them play, okay? And so in that process of being a baseball player at 13, 14, 15-year-old, you know a couple things are happening. You're getting ready to go into the high school realm potentially. You have tracking in your brain, hey, little Johnny's pretty good. Like, I may want to see what he can do beyond high school, right? And so you start thinking about college, and so you go, well, how can I do that? Like, how can I get him in front of the right people? And so you start going to baseball tournaments, right? Normal, everyday baseball tournaments, okay? And so from there, your son plays, he does pretty well, or he doesn't do well, right? But the same process happens. So these showcases, you get on a list, right? And those lists are usually one of 3 lists, and we're going to go through each one. But that happens simply because you attended a tournament, right? Not because you were good or bad, just because you attended a tournament, okay? And so the very first list that you might get on is a college-specific list. All right, and so in that college-specific list, that might be a one-off college. That might be a Harvard, a Pepperdine, a Wisconsin, whatever it is, right? You are on a college-specific list, and you start getting emails from them, right? And so what happens is these college-specific showcases will be anywhere between about $300, okay, to $500. I have seen them as low as $99, right? So we'll throw that up there to be fair, right? And again, they're neutral. Nothing wrong with them in general. Or you get on another list, which is a future tournaments and showcase, right? So these are like, hey, your son played in our tournament, and now we want him to play in another tournament, or we want him to attend a showcase that we sponsor as an event. And again, nothing wrong with these, but these can be anywhere between, let's call it $300 and $3,000. And oh, by the way, this doesn't include cost of travel, your food, your hotels, whatever it might be, okay? So that is just the basic 2 lists that you are now on. And you're receiving these on a regular basis, sometimes as often as 3 and 4 times a week, sometimes 10 times a week, okay? And then we have the final one that you're gonna get on, the independent list, okay? So this is an independent company that says, hey, we got your list and we want you to come to a showcase, okay? So the bottom line is that as you're going through this, you know, these are also going to cost you hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. These are on the average between $500 and $1,200, okay? And so all these have inherent costs. Again, do not account for the cost of travel, right? And so then what happens as you're going through this, you're like, okay, so I'm a baseball player, I went to this tournament, now I'm on these lists. And this will clarify the type of list that you're on. But are these appropriate for you? Is Harvard an appropriate level for you to shoot for? Is this future tournament or showcase one that you should go to? Is this independent showcase one that I should be going to because they said, hey, we're going to send out your metrics to the world. And those metrics are your running speed, your 60 time, your arm strength from your specific position, right? And usually what happens in all these cases is that there's none or very limited actual college offers. And that is going to be contingent upon whether or not the school that you're at is or the school that has invited you even has a roster position for you, right? Or these future tournaments, they're just trying to feed you into the system again. And again, they're neutral, but they could be taking advantage of your son and your family financially in other ways, just simply because you don't understand how this works, okay? And so then what happens is, you go, okay, I'm gonna go to all 3, right? I want little Johnny to have this experience. I want him to compete against his peer group. I wanna find out these things, right? And so you spend all this money. Now you go into this, you get the metrics, and now these are out there for the world to see, okay? And unfortunately, some of those metrics you don't want out there for the world to see. You're an outfielder at 15 years old and you just ran an 8.2 60-yard dash. You don't want anybody to see that, but guess what happens? Those metrics, because of the promise of these different showcases, they're being sent to a future showcasing tournament. They're being sent to a college-specific email list, or you're being sent back right in to another independent. They said, hey, you did so well, little Johnny. We want you to come to our other event that's specific for you, quote unquote, in this other part of the country. And you're going, wait a second, that doesn't make sense, but I feel really good about it because this college coach there said, hey, you have a nice swing. But he gave me all zeros and ones on my grades, but it just doesn't make sense, okay? So this is the infinite loop, right? This is what happens time and time again, the hamster wheel, okay? So what are the problems with this endless loop, okay? Again, showcases are neutral, but what are the problems with this endless loop? Well, the bottom line is, back over here where you're 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, you don't know where you're at. You don't even know if you should be going to a college-specific showcase or a future tournament or showcase at this specific event or to this independent one that promises the world. You don't know that yet. So many people jump into the pool before they even know if they can swim, okay? The other thing about this is showcases are never going to tell you, hey, don't attend this. This isn't for you, right? Doesn't make them good or bad. It's just how it works. So they sit there and they go, hey, come one, come all, and then you show up and they do their process, and then you're just cycled back through the loop, spending thousands. Here's my wallet, here's my credit card, here's my keys, here's my home, right? And you guys are in all different sorts of financial situations. So why would we be doing this, okay? The other thing to understand is you're relying on hope. You're hoping that one person, one college, one assistant coach, one graduate assistant will see me and go, hey man, I really like this kid, let's offer him, okay? Do you know how often that really happens? Hardly at all, okay? And then as this is happening, you're spending more and more money. You're an ATM machine. You're a human ATM machine trying to support your wonderful son's future in the game, which we all want to, okay? So then the other thing that happens is even if you get dependable metrics, again, there's rarely recommendations on how you need to improve in the game. So now we just have facts and statistics, but no bridge to tell us how we get to where we ultimately want to be as a player, all right? So again, why would we do this to in front of 30 to 100 college coaches who can have an impact on your son's future if you're not sure if your son is ready? So, okay, so now that you understand how this works, what does this mean to you? Well, look, COVID happened, okay? We all know that. And this has changed the landscape of college recruiting. It means that there are now, more years of eligibility for players that are already there, proven college players that are already there, higher roster numbers, school retractions, less people going in the draft. This all affects the college recruiting realm, okay? So, doesn't seem to me like this is the appropriate way to go about things. Unless, hey, let's be honest, you want to rent an RV, drive across the country, throw money out the window, right? See the biggest ball of yarn in the world, do things like that as you're trying to pursue this along the way. It's kind of like Chevy Chase in the Vacation movie where he's going across country with his family and they keep making all these pit stops that they didn't need to make, and all this bumbling idiocy happens along the way, okay? We don't need to do that in the college recruiting realm, all right? So our focus is simple. It's clarity. We want to promote a clear understanding of where your son is in his process, where he needs to be to play baseball at the highest level, and hopefully crack a college lineup somewhere along the way. This is what we've done for over 2 decades. So I want to get into something real quick, a couple case studies for you. One of the kids, he sent us information. His parents said, hey, my son's 14 years old. People are telling me he's pretty good, but we really have no idea. We don't really trust the sources. Would you mind doing an assessment for us? I said, sure. So we did an assessment for it, got all the footage, got all the video we needed, did the whole assessment for him with one of our major league scouts. These parents were blown away. They were like, are you kidding me? Like, we had no idea our son's current level was this and future level could be that. That's for real? Like, yes, that's for real. That's honest, valuable feedback for us. Not only do we have an idea where he's at, but we also know where he can go, but we also have recommendations on how to get there. Like, bang, 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 right? 3 beautiful points that any person who's in the world of baseball should be able to understand where they're at right now to get where they want to go and the bridge to get there. And then secondly, we have one of my favorite all-time stories. Player had come in and he said, Aggie, please help me because I just got cut from my high school baseball team. It was the fall of his 10th grade year. He had a pretty good arm. He had a lot of things to work through as far as nutrition goes, weight training, different things like that. But he had just gotten cut and he was in like, this is it. Like, I love the game and I want to keep going, but like, I'm done. And I was like, no, dude, you're not done. But let's do an assessment and talk about all the areas exactly where you need to improve. And so that's exactly what we did. And so we walked through this and we did the assessment. We sat him down. We went through every single aspect and then he followed it. He followed the recommendations to a T so that 2 years later, he received a 90% scholarship to a college baseball program. It was amazing, right? It's one of my favorite stories of all time because in all this, he took the information that he received and took ownership of it. And then the final one I think is really important to share with you because it tells, it's the majority of the stories. The majorities of the stories are, hey, kids are going to this showcase. They're going to this tournament. And so the single mom had come to me and said, I love my son more than anything in the world. We're best friends. He loves baseball. He seems to be able to hit pretty good, but we don't understand. We keep going to showcase after showcase after showcase, and we keep getting no information. We've been in front of about 250 college coaches at this point, and we're not getting any love, so to speak, right? And I said, well, talk to me about those. Like, what are you going in as? Like, how are you putting yourself out there? And she said, well, he goes in as an outfielder. And I said, why would you go in as an outfielder? She said, well, that's what he plays in high school. And I said, well, the high school coach is just fulfilling his need for him on the team. That's where he fits into his lineup, but that's not where your son's going to play in the future. And she's like, seriously? I said, yeah. I said, your son runs a 7.8 60-yard dash, 7.8 second 60-yard dash as an outfielder. So unless you are hitting 450-foot bombs on a regular, that ain't going to happen for you. So I said, immediately, dude, like we walked through the assessment, did everything we need to do, and we shifted him over to first base. Within 6 months of him signing on to our full process, guess what happened? Great scholarship, very happy, playing as a freshman, excited to be at a very prestigious university, okay? That's how this gets done because you have to know where you're at and know what the recommendations are and then follow them to get where you want to be.